Hey, okay, bro, what's up? So, I'm gonna show you some quick serum stuff. And if you need to, just pause the video and follow along. So Serum opens up like this. This is the init state. I usually produce basses in D or D sharp. So we'll hit D sharp with, let's see, I'll just open a MIDI track and then put a D sharp in here. Or, yeah. D, or D, let's just do D. And it's D0. Sub. I just get a couple of MIDI notes going, and then we'll just loop it. Okay, that way. I do actually like to hit the note too. While I'm, hit the key while I'm designing something, but. I like to also get this, get the MIDI down as well, and hit spacebar to see what it sounds like. If on beat, we're at 145, I guess. So I'll just keep it at 145. So Serum, you have oscillators. You have 3 oscillators. You have the sub over here, and you can turn that on or off. So turn that on, and then here's your wavetables for the sub, and you can pick which ones you want to use. And then panning, you don't want to really pan that at all, so we'll keep that 0. You can do your octaves up and down for your sub. So if we just have the sub, so 0 is, at C0 or D0 on your MIDI, then you're right there where you need to be for your sub. Okay, and then you can switch these wavetables if you want. It gives a little more distorted. And that's why I like these MIDI meters too, because you can really see the wave. And the stereo field right here. This is a stereo field right here. So with the sub, you always want it to be as mono as you can. Just pop that thing mono all the time. That's what that looks like. It sounds smoother. You'd think that would be so smooth, right? The triangle. But a lot of guys like using this one for the sub. But we'll just keep it at regular old sine wave. And a good sub, right here, I'm not going to go into that yet. So let me just keep on going here. So the other thing is with Serum here, is the direct out button. And let me just make this a little bit bigger. I guess I don't have my special graphics on this one. At least I still got my name. So direct out. So what direct out does is it bypasses all of the filtering and the effects and all this stuff. It bypasses everything, goes directly out to the track, to your track, so it doesn't get affected by everything. I do like to produce, create or sound design with the sub going through everything, because it has an effect on the sounds. And then, whereas ultimately at the end, once we get the sound that we're looking for, I usually will get rid of the sub and then just put in a separate sub, because you don't want your sub to be messed up as much if you don't need it. You want your sub to be nice and just solid sine waves, and you don't want it to have artifacts and distortion and stuff. If you don't, you just want it to be a nice smooth wave, like that. And then, or have that little third harmonic in there. But anyway, we'll move on to one of the sound design stuff. Or explanation here, Serum. So then oscillator A has, you'll have like a whole bunch of options for wavetables. So, you pick these different, I have a couple special ones in here that I downloaded, but you'd have a spectral, and a lot of dubstep basses use the spectral. A lot of them actually do use just basic shapes though, so let's just do basic shapes. But this is I'll show you FMing, and when you FM, a lot of times you'll use the basic shape as your main wavetable, and then you'll FM into the wavetable. So then we have oscillator B over here. With oscillator A and B, you have the octave. You can change the octave here for this one. And change the octave here for that one. So you can have one up high and then one down low. Or one just at 0 and one high. And then that gives you more of a saw sound to it with this one. You get the saw on. And but let's just do something really simple sound with just these 3 oscillators. You can go down here to this knob right here, and this drop down here, you can choose sync, no window. Now, I haven't really paid much attention to what the difference is with all these, but I just do sync, no window. I'm sorry, not for this one, sorry. This one is sync, no window. And then this one is FM from B. So FM from B, meaning B is the oscillator B. So you got to make sure you turn that on. So now we're FMing. So FM, I don't know if you know what that means, but it's frequency modulation. So this wavetable is modulating the frequency of this wavetable. So it's affecting the sound. We'll show you in and the MIDI meter thing up here. So right now we have nothing on, so it's not, there's 0% FM going on. Oh, and what we want to do is we want to turn the oscillator B on, right? But then we want to turn this level down. That way it just goes directly into FM. You don't hear this oscillator at all. You don't want to hear it. So you keep the level down on that. Okay? So now all you're going to hear is the effect that it has when you start turning the FM up. So you can see this wavetable right here. Now it's kind of smooth. And then when you turn it up, it starts looking and sounding different. And if you modulate it, that's how we start doing, you know, wubs and whatnot, you know, growls, and so that's where this LFO, all these LFOs come in handy. You have 4 of them to start with, but once you use all 4, then you start getting more and more and more. Like you can use a ton of them, and so LFOs are what we use to modulate the knobs. That's why Serum is so great. It's just all laid out really easy for you to make sounds. And so what you do is you take your LFO1, this little circle here. It looks like it's really faint, but it looks like a knob almost down here. So you grab a hold of that, and you can put it on the knob, right? And you might have it might go only to the right, like that, or it might go left and right. So depending on how it, when you bring it in, sometimes it'll go just to the right, sometimes it'll go back and forth, left and right, from the center. Just make sure that you hold down. You can hold down. You can change it by. I think you can change it by right clicking, but I usually change it by holding down Option and Shift and clicking the little thing there. That's the shortcut, Option, Shift, and then click that. So you have to learn that. I don't know if you're on a Mac or not, but if not, whatever option is, probably Alt or something on Windows. So now you have this shape right here. So make a shape kind of like this. So now the shape is affecting this FM. So we're going from not much to 50%. So play around with that, right? Okay. But what we have now is we have something. It's you hear it, like it doesn't dip in volume at all. Right? It's just constant buzzing the whole time. I'll take you can double click on this thing to make a node. So just double click and bring it down, so now you got a little bit of silence at the end. And then you play with that. So, you know, to get a good sound. And what you're doing here is you're adding a wonk, right? You're adding a little bit of swing to it, a little swag. You're not making guns out of them, but you're wanting it to wonk up a little bit. And you know, you can adjust that for however what type of sound you want out of it. But since you can hear the sub all the time too, we want to make it so that it's more wubby, right? So it has the silence. So what you do is you take the same LFO and you pop it on the level. You bring the level down and then turn this knob so it goes all the way up on both. So you have the oscillator A is on and the oscillator, the sub oscillator is on. So you want to put that on the sub, bring it down, pop it up. So now you get that silence. And right now, so let's just keep on moving over. I did kind of drop down the LFO, but that does have to do with these knobs right here. So, but we'll just move on over to the filter. So you pop the filter on, and then you have the drop down for different types of filters. And this is where Serum really stands out too, is it has lots of different really cool filters like comb filter, flanger, phaser, miscellaneous filters like the ring mods, the comb filters, all pass, reverb. These are really, really cool filters for dubstep. So we'll just, but actually what we'll probably do is do this multi one. This is where I started out making most of my stuff, is just making it through the multi filters, and it's the HN12 is what I usually use. You'll see why. So hit HN12, and then in here you got your cutoff. So this is the low cutoff or the high pass, and then you have a resonator. So this is the resonant knob of that, whatever frequency you're at. So we're at 347, and this filter resonation will be like, you can crank it up right there, so now you have that a special tone, a distinct tone. And so you want to have some kind of a tone in your basses, right? What you can do is these filters here. This is what oscillators are actually going to go through and be affected by this filter. So that's oscillator A, that's oscillator B, that's the noise. So I haven't got to the noise yet, but there's the noise. Whatever, the oscillator, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's a noise oscillator. And then you have the sub oscillator. So you can bring the sub in there. So that's effective. See how we lost the sub though, because we have the cut right here. But so let's go ahead and leave the sub off of there though, and then we can put on the this is the filter key tracking. So it will, notice how it's 275 hertz, the filter cutoff right now. Key tracking will track whatever frequency that your note that you're hitting on the keyboard is. So that it stays in kind of in tune where the peak is at. See how it moves? So I usually like to do that on there. Okay. right now it's not moving at all. We don't have it modulating. But so the filter cutoff, then we have the resonance, then we have the pan. I usually leave the pan centered, and then we have the drive, and that just pushes everything up. And I'll mess with that later. But and then we have second frequency. So this is the cut, the notch that cuts. So we modulate this thing back and forth to give like a vowel sounding, like a voice. It's for growls and stuff, right? And then we have the mix knob. So that's self-explanatory. That mixes everything in. So we'll automate. We'll grab the LFO one, and we'll automate the cutoff to go up a little bit, and then we'll automate the frequency, the other one, to go down. So depending on where you put your cutoff, it's how high it's going to go. However high you push this, it goes up higher. And the point of sound design is to find the sweet spots, if you will. I just call them the sweet spots because it's the place in the frequency that you hear that this just sounds really good. It just sounds better than it does in any other position or modulation parameters. And so you want to keep that. You want to find that good sweet spot where it sounds cool. I'm kind of liking that, but then you find there might be a different setting over here that you can put your FM at that might sound even better. So you start messing with that too. That sounded kind of cool. I always try it with direct out. My sub with direct out too. I still kind of like it with it being affected there. So we'll get into the noise. We'll just do the noise real quick. So with noise, you've got all kinds of options. You can really go crazy with this, but keep it simple. Just keep it at a like a J60 or a bright white or something. And that adds that white noise there, top on there. And always do that with the level. Don't worry about anything else in here. So now we got everything coming off of LFO1. But what you can do is you can grab LFO2 and do some different types of modulation so that every other wub sounds slightly different. And then you would just do that with the, you can do it with many different things, but we'll just do it with this. Actually, I want to turn this into basic. Let's go to basic shapes. So turn that into basic shapes, and then we'll bring that up to that one, which is I forgot. I think it's the saw. And then we can modulate the sync. And right now we have it going quarter note up, but we want it to be, see this, this is your rate of your LFO, of LFO2. So I put it on trigger mode. It was on envelope, put it on trigger mode. And then your rate is how fast it goes through this window here. And the LFO shape gets affected. So right now it's going boom, boom, boom. So it's going up and then down every quarter note. So we want to just change this to half note. We got we have the MIDI notes or chord notes. So to fix that, we'll just make one of these. We'll just make these longer. So see, now it's doing the sounds just a little bit different. But let me just do it. So now our entire thing will be different. And you can do something like this. You can mess with this all you want. Syncing this, we're making it, we're just multiplying it on top of itself, so that it's getting more of those wavetails, which is a higher frequency. So you can have a lot of fun just sitting here, just messing with these wavetails. It's never ending fun. So it gets really hard sometimes to figure out exactly what you want, because you can just have so many options. So what I did is I took this down a little bit so that when you bring this up, it doesn't affect it as loud or as much, but it's more subtle. So we can go with that. I mean, it's not the best sound yet, but, so moving on though. The next step would be going into your effects. So this is where you can get it sounding more defined, more powerful. So the first effects in line is the hyper and dimension. I will end up typically bringing down the mix on the hyper side, and then the dimension I bring that up on the mix, but then bring the size down. See how it makes it really wide? So you mess with that to see where your taste is for the sound. I put this on trigger, so put your LFO1 on trigger. And pay attention to the level on the master too, because it can go up into the peaking, and you kind of want it to be a little more, don't want it to peak. So keep it down below the red. And then the next one is distortion, so you've got all kinds of different distortions to choose from. So I just usually will crank everything up and then adjust. Most of the times with sound design, putting effects in, the good rule of thumb is to, a good method of doing sound design is pushing the things to the max first to see exactly what's happening, and then bring it down and just pepper it in to your taste. So see how that's like really awfully distorted. But anyway, we'll go through some of these so you can hear them. So that's soft clip. That's a 2 hard clip. Diode. X shape, you can draw your own shape in. Or you put a preset. But yeah, I don't really mess with that much either. Oh, but I must have X'd out of Serum. So yeah, I don't really ever use that, but definitely is handy for sound design stuff. But we will go with, I liked zero square, sounds kind of cool. But then we just mix it in. And we can even put the LFO one on the mix. Okay, so then we have the flanger, the phaser, the chorus, delay, compressor. What I'll do is usually not mess with these right off the bat, but I'll put the compressor on. And Serum has this multi-band compressor button, and kind of like a way of adding some OTT compression onto your sound early, and see how it really makes a huge difference. And the gain controls the volume pretty much of the sound. So you mix that in, but I usually just leave it cranked up and just adjust the gain. And I mean, you can put more another filter, so you have these pop more filters on here for making it sound even cooler. And remember, we're pretty much going to take away the sub anyway, so. So that sounds kind of cool, and we can even modulate that into the mix. And then we can modulate the cutoff so that saves a little bit on this one. The drive. So I mean, it's starting to sound kind of cool, like a cool little bass, right? So then, that's pretty much a good little walkthrough of the basics of creating a sound. I mean, I could go into what I would do next, but we'll just stick with this for now. But yeah, mess around with all this stuff. Find the sweet spots and then save it. Put it in your users folder, and then sit there and mess around with other bases, create some stuff. Or what you could do too is you can load up one of these pre-made basses too, and then just start messing with them. You know. So that's always fun to do too. Yeah, I'll just stop there. Let me know if you have any other questions. But